Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Itai. It's such a pleasure to be here this morning on the show. And of course, we are streaming from Lagos, Nigeria to West Africa, and the entire world. It's a great morning. It's always a great morning. It's a great day, and I believe it will be a great day for you, for me, for every one of us. And if you're just listening and join us, please do let us know. We always welcome our first timers on the show. And of course, we also would like to hear from you. Let's hear from you. Let's hear your thoughts. Let's hear your contribution. Let's know who you are. Let's know your thoughts. Have questions. Please do not hesitate to ask your questions. And do not hesitate to also let us know your contributions as well. This is the Good Morning Education Show, and we always talk about news within the world of education and around the world of education. Today, we will be having an interesting topic. I believe that it might look like it's a topic that's kind of mouthful, but I believe that it's one of those things that we need to talk about. We need to spend time to talk about, and it's bringing us the reality of some things that we don't normally tend to look at as issues. You know, but we're going to be talking about winning the fight against education colonialism, and that's what um, we'll be talking about today. So before then, of course, as usual on the show, we have lots and lots and lots and lots of headlines to take a look at and then see how that would snowball into the conversation of the day. And this morning will not be different. Someone who is meant to be joining us, please tell them to join us and tell them the Good Morning Education Show is right on air, right? So the first headlines that we'll be having this morning will be from the Vanguard News. And it says 10-year-old Aisha Ismail launches storybook on banditry. Interesting. Now people have begun to, you know, to make uh, steps and moves about writing our stories. And I believe sometimes it might cause a shift, might show when everyone is beginning to talk about these things, this menace of insecurity, might begin to feel the needed people in the position of authority, you know, might actually, get to start doing something about the situation. That's what I feel, and we'll get there. It's a matter of time, but we will get there. So I think that this is something that we can say a step in the right direction. We can also applaud this young lady. She's decided not to leave herself out of the how do you call that now? She decided not to leave herself out of the equation, and she's trying to do the best that she can, even in the situation, given the situation of the moment. So thank you, Aisha, and well done on your book. The next headline will be from TechPoint Africa. K-12 schools digital infrastructure adverse raises 575,000 US dollars to improve product and bring more schools online. This is that I would a headline I would like to ring the bell of blessing for. So proud of Edverse and super happy to be associated with their brand. And of course, if you know Edverse, you also know that Edverse in its own right um, is doing so much to make Nigeria proud, but then not just Nigeria, Africa proud. And I believe that there is a huge gulf that they're trying to fix. So this is from the Good Morning Education Show. We're saying a huge hearty congratulations to our friends, our partners from adverse, right? That's what I would like to say. And people are out there and they're wondering what platform to engage on. One of the platforms I would like to encourage you to leverage on would be adverse. Adverse is a very good platform. All right, moving on. We will go straight into another headline. And that headline says, How We Started School with 15 Pupils. Olubowale Stella, Milestone School Director. This is more or less coming from the school, talking about their history and talking about their growth for the past few years, and would like to congratulate them also on their journey so far. And then, of course, we have the next headline, and this one is taking us a little bit on a trip to the north, and this is coming from, we have Nigerian government gives Kebbi 339,652 utensils to boost school feeding program. That's on today. Today.ng has this news. It's talking about the grant gift to Kebbi. So well done to the federal government or Nigerian government. And of course, well done to Kebbi State. And we hope that this will be judiciously utilized, as it were. Okay, the next one is from, this is from Daily Post. Daily Post. And Daily Post has it that Aisha, Adeshino Aishat, OAU closed down till further notice over students' death and protests. It's a sad one. Looking at it, the death of anyone, neither young or old, can cause grief. And we understand how, in the student environment, the solidarity and the tempo of support sometimes can be that emotional. And, following protests and all those things, I believe this is one of the reasons that the school had to, just close for a bit so that people do not take advantage of a situation that is already a sad one to perpetrate evil, or sometimes there are excesses with the show of grief for some people, and then they take it out on innocent people, they take it out on properties of the school, which costs more. There are many things. So I think that we just want to wish the family, the family of the people concerned, want to wish the family of additional Aisha, want to wish them well. Want to pray that God fills the vacuum in their hearts and console their entire family. It's not easy to lose anyone, and yeah, that is what I have to say on that. So on that note, like I said, if you're just watching us, welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. And we are streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, to West Africa, to Africa, and the entire world. And on the Good Morning Education Show, we always have a wonderful time. We always have a great time. And you will hear us say from time to time that it's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. And today is not going to be an exception. We're already having a great morning already, as it were. And I believe that you and I are going to have a lot of reason to think, to reflect, to ideate and also to take positional moves and statements, as it were. So right now, we're going to be going into the conversation of the day. And I said earlier that we'll be talking about something quite long, winning the fight against education colonialism. Winning the fight against education colonialism. That's very important. And if you look at it, I'm sure most of us are familiar with the word colonialism. Of course, judging by the story of Africa, you can't run away from that word, And it's just so interesting that just as you are able to look at colonialism, right? You can't have colonialism without talking about a colony. And we're trying to say that it is this concept of colonialism or this practice that has led to some of the challenges that we have today. And so someone might be wondering and asking a question. What is the definition? What is the meaning of colonialism? I think that we need to look at it from the Oxford Languages. The dictionary says the policy or practice of acquiring full or partial political control over another country, occupying it with settlers, and exploiting it economically. Now, we might not have what you call colonialism from the perspective of how you see things like slave or slave trade. But the point I'm trying to make is that there are some proponents of colonialism that are kind of present in the concept of our kind of education. Please understand that education seems to be incomplete if you are not talking about its purpose, its pursuit, its practice, and then, of course, the principles or the philosophy that it upholds. You see, when we look at all these things, we begin to realize that some of the elements present in the context and the content of colonialism is happening in our education sphere. And if you look at our policy and you look at our practice, eventually that is what gives birth to the system of education that we practice. And if you look at it, sometimes you ask ourselves, is this education our own, either partially or fully? Who seems to be occupying the center stage? And the economy and the economical advancement of it, where is that coming from? Where is that leveraged on? And these things are things that we need to talk about. Apologies. Just really look at it from that angle that we must, as a people, begin to ask ourselves. And if we're able to understand, I have some questions that are probably going to help us begin to think about some things. That it's actually a fight. And it's not something you can blame anyone or blame anything or blame any country. No. But what we are saying is the world is now on a globalization level where you also must realize that as global as the world has now become, we also must pay attention to the fact that control and also motives are very important. So if you say education colonialism, what should it be called? I think education colonialism is not just the practice, but it's a reality where um, the policy of education and the pursuit and focus of education, right, is not resident with the recipients of the education or the host community. And which simply means that we'll be having issues around um, um, content, we'll be having issues about class, we'll be having issues about communication, we'll be having issues around curriculum, we'll be having issues around all these little things. Why? Because our education seems to be everything outside of Africa. And when I say everything outside, I'm not saying in terms of location now. I'm saying that in terms of direction, intent, and empowerment, you know. So these are many more are things that we need to look at. So the very first question I'll be asking is this. Now that we understand what education colonialism kind of is, what is education colonialism based on? I feel that that's the very first place that we need to look at. I think that education colonialism is based on, shift in alignment. Everybody wants to push their agenda and they want to cause a shift in alignment in the interest of another. That's one of the things that education colonialism is based on. You know, it's almost like nurturing and positioning, you know, nurturing and positioning participants of such to favor um, another model coming from elsewhere. It's almost like saying that you're taking conscious steps to say you take the lead and the others follow. And that's the reason why some of our higher institutions, like the university, higher institution of learning, have not been able to demonstrate the willingness and readiness for the kind of change that should exist there. Why? Because most of the time, our sector or our institutions are already bound by a mold. There is a system that was handed over to them that they are themselves haven't thought of why it was designed so. And so everything that shows meaning, everything that looks like it's founded on a proponent, it's just left like that. It's like just keep nurturing the old consistently, nurturing the old consistently. And I think that that is very lame. That is very wrong because we have the capacity and the potency of probably even getting people to now begin to see that they need to learn from us. And at some point in our history, we had people learning from us. But then, of course, we didn't get to understand the essence and the reason for this. And eventually, what happened? We became people who were going down the drain because of that, because we failed to recognize that. So, Are there impacts of education or on education colonialism or of education colonialism? I believe there are impacts. Number one impact is that it robs off of our history. We find out that the history of development, the history of of nurturing, all of a sudden is replaced, and it's because we have something else exported to us. It's not just that, not just identity. I mean, not just history, our identity as well. I'm glad that for a while in the business space and in the commerce industry, um, the apprentice model of some natives in Nigeria, the Igbos have an apprentice model. Other countries have come to study it, even to enhance vocational study. Now, if we spend some time to showcase that, it gives us this pride, but not just pride, but this understanding that the world has things to learn from us. We are not just the ones to learn from the world. We are not just the ones how do I put it now? We're not just the ones seeking to copy, rank Xerox in the world. I believe that there's a lot more that we have to offer. But because people are not packaging it, because of the effect and the impact of colonialism in education, a lot of us have tend to wait till someone spots something interesting in us and about us, comes to us and quizzes us, and in some cases just does their research and go before we realize. Sometimes they would have developed whatever they want to develop before they now come back to say it was from our location, our history, our lifestyle that they learned and they developed this, you know. And many years ago, I was told, that the palm kernel was something that some researchers had to come from Asia to study, and then they took some seeds and they went away. The same thing with purple, they went away. And guess what? These people have taken our very own resource, studied the greatness that could be with it, went out to make possibilities from it. And we are still in the very crude state of production of these things. So that just tells you the impact of education colonialism. And on that note, I'd like to welcome Olushola Olumide. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Rotimi Tayon. Good morning to all our tribe members out there. Nice to be here once again.
Thank you, sir. So I would like to ask a question, right? And the question is this. So we're talking about education colonialism. What is it to you? Does it exist? If yes, um, tell us its impact.
Uh, Thank you very much. Um, it's obvious that colonialism exists. Maybe in addition to that, we talk about neo-colonialism. Fine, the issue of use of gun, suppression, and the sort of waging war to conquer a territory seems to have been on the decline. However, the issue of mind colonialism continues, and it is easy to penetrate our mind with the branding, with the information dissemination, with adverts. Everything appears to be tailored to favor our captor, and it's like they bait us. That concept of baiting us, giving us peanuts in order to get our wealth is still ongoing. And the physical, as I said, slave trade and whatever might no longer be in vogue. However, mind programming is still ongoing. And that is why a sizable number of people in this climb will first of all seek validation from what goes on in the Western world. Oh, it is British curriculum. Then somebody now feels, okay, if it is British curriculum, American curriculum, then my children can come to your school. But since that is what people want, that mentality, that ideology of affiliating with that superpower, even though the affiliation has no apparent benefit, so to say. So it is more of the mind now.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes. What is it? It's like the thing that is for our profit, the thing that is meant for our greatness is hidden away from our eye. And when we don't value it, people who sees it ahead of us or who values it ahead of us come to pay us peanuts and take away. There's this more in the mind, in our mentality, and the way we go about doing things. It is real. And to fight it, to win the war against it, must start from mind reprogramming, having the belief in the sufficiency of what we have. Do we have a level playing ground? What do we bring to the table? What we take to the table or just in the name of having us there, why they continue to milk us, take that which appears to be better part of us, why they give us peanut and we celebrate it. So it is real. If we are going to fight it and win it, it has to start from our.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you know, just like the regular colonialism as we know it, the aim is to reduce illiteracy and to add skills. I believe you agree on that. That's perceived aim for colonialism. Do you agree on that?
I do agree, but the question that followed that is that education total?
So I want to now use that understanding to say that, okay, like you said, it's not as if it's the entire, there's a backside to it too, which is that the term illiteracy, we need to really even look at it. What is illiteracy? You know, so illiteracy is relative, especially the people you're trying to make literate. You're trying to make them know about your component, your culture, your environment, your information. So they're illiterate of that, but they are literate in themselves. I don't know whether you get what I'm trying to say. Hello, Olushola, are you there? Hello. Hello, Olushola, are you there? Okay. Welcome to the show, Omobola Olaribigbe. Thank you for joining us. So I was speaking about the two categories or the two aims or the component aims of colonialism. Number one is to reduce illiteracy. Number two is to add skills. Now, I feel that to reduce, to reduce your illiteracy, it's also a two-sided thing. So you're trying to reduce the illiteracy of the people based on the fact that they are not knowledgeable about you or your ways, but you are also trying to take away, in a way, the knowledge of the people. Welcome back, Olushola.
Yes, the network glitch there.
So so I was trying to explain that reducing illiteracy, right, is also replacing literacy. I don't know whether you understand. So reducing illiteracy on one hand replaces literacy on the other hand. Now, to
Yes,
add skill in that concept also takes away, diminishes, devalues skill in some concept.
I understand.
So we now look at it from the concept of education, right? From the concept of education. And
Hello.
yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me, sir? So I was saying that from the concept of education, we need to also examine, we need to x-ray the aim of colonialism. It sends a signal that as we begin
Yes, I
to
can hear you.
pursue,
I can hear you.
so as we begin to pursue reduction in illiteracy, we must be mindful that our pursuit of reduction of illiteracy does not necessarily replace literacy. At the same time, as we begin to add skills to students, add skills to educators, add skills to society, we must be mindful not to eliminate, disband, diminish some resident skills, some innate skills in the process. Because what happens is that this is the process that teaches us to identify and label what we call good and what we call bad, what we call white and what we call black. I really would love to hear from Olumide once he comes back on this aspect of the topic of our day. So if you're just joining us, yes, this is the Good Morning Education Show, and we're live and direct. Apologies for the internet or network, so to speak. We need to be able to get a very smooth and seamless conversation. So now, when we recognize that, I think one of the things that we need to do is to begin not just to talk about it, not just to talk about the concerns, not to talk about the sharp practices, but we need to begin to embark on what I call liberalization, or better still, decolonization. We need to start decolonizing our system of education, our model of education. We need to decolonize it, and it will take a lot of guts. It will take a lot of um, it will take a lot of reflection, deep-seated planning, thinking, and research, so that it's not just done on the auspices of emotions and sentiments. It's done with verified facts. It's done with proof. It's done in such a manner that you can easily attest to. You know, um, these are things that I believe would also help. Yes, so let me just welcome Omobola Olaribi. Uh, Thanks for joining. So yes, I believe that this is something that we need to do. And to decolonize ourselves is almost like saying that you are taking away, you know, you are taking away the system enshrined, you know, the system enshrined to bring control and take resource away from you, so to speak. So we need to begin to look at decolonization and begin to map out our values and begin to say that, look, there's no way we will not start to think about what are the comparatives, or which you call the comparative advantages, the comparative analysis. Then we take some time out to look at what are the competitive analysis that gives us understanding of the competitive advantages. And when we're able to do that, I think that it will produce better aspects and results for us. It will produce better outcomes for us. It will produce, an education we can call our own. And one of the ways to really snowball this, someone might be asking, is that there might be need for us to begin to look at the kind of policies within our school systems, policies within our sector, within our districts, policies within the ministries. What are these policies like? Can these policies be influenced? Can these policies be altered? Can this policy be adjusted? Sorry about that. Can it be adjusted to suit our purpose? Can we even question? I remember there was a conversation I stumbled on, and we're talking about full liberalization and a lot of things. But we know for our system of justice, we inherited a Western system of justice, the justice system, yeah. And our lawyers still wear the wig. And the question is this: in some parts of the world, you don't see this happen. You don't see lawyers putting on wigs. Black men don't have hair for wigs, but that's part of the colonization that we're talking about. Why should we, have our people putting on foreign hair as we go to the law court? Those things are things that will it change the statutes of the law? Will it change the semblance? I don't know. But it's like we need to think with our education, question with our education, you know, disrupt if you have to with our education. And I also said it that when we come to the issue of school uniforms, you know, I don't know, but I ask sometimes, why do we have to put on suits for our school uniforms? Why can't we have uniforms that speak to our own nature, context, and reality? And some of the things that I've said, it's not that we can't get it done, but some people that will take that step, it is the same us that will declassify that and call it local, will call it less of standards. Why have we been robbed off of a mindset and mentality that if it's not coming from the West, it's not with quality? These are many more things that we need to look at on the show. And of course, if you're listening out there, the idea is this: it's not something that we want to throw placards on the street for. No, it's just saying that we need to fight against it because it robs us of a lot of things, and a lot of times we are still going to be almost like second best, you know, when we try to copy what is not ours. And when we are doing these things, we need to know that our reality, our history, these are things that are resources to us that we must leverage on. Look at the amazing thing happening in the music industry. It's the world that is learning our beats, it's the world that is learning our dance, the world is learning our songs. Guess what? As they are doing all those things, they've now gotten to a point where they are learning our languages. And so what happens is that for the time being, we kind of have some measure of superior hand or upper hand in music. And think about it if that happens in education, as the world learning our curriculum. That in fact, if you want to show that you're a forward, future-driven school, let's say for example in the UK, you have to follow. In fact, imagine if UK schools and US schools are adding Nigerian curriculum as a bragging right. Think about it. Think about it. That we need not to have Ofsted inspectors to come to Nigerian schools to show if they are improving quality, or rather Nigerian inspectors. Think about it. And there's nothing impossible. So the conversation of today is not so much to whip up sentiment, but to raise reasoning and raise consciousness in us. Welcome, Olushola Olumide.
Thank you. Thank you. This network want to conspire against me this morning.
Sorry about that. So you were planning to say something when we were talking about the aim.
Yes, we are talking about eradicating literacy.
Literacy, adding
The
skills,
yes,
which
yes,
also means sometimes when you add skills, you are actually phasing out skill. When you are reducing literacy, you are actually disposing of literacy.
yes. You are that. What I'm trying to now say is that yes, it is good. They brought us education and literacy. The question that follows that is the education a total education? Because when education it's not total. It's not making the mind. It becomes dysfunctional. When all we are educated or programmed to see is something that benefits our master, because there is a way education can be tailored. That what you are to see. I think part of the story I read in the era of the slave trade in those days is that yes, the slaves when they were bought, they were being fed and they are being used on the farm. As long as that slave is serving the cause of the master, there won't be issue. In fact, I learned one of the earliest reformer African who championed the reforms in Africa and put an end to slave trade was that once they see that young boy carrying any book, it becomes a tug of war. It becomes, they don't want him to go through books. We'll be feeding you. We keep you here. You keep serving on our farm, but to go and carry one book and be reading, you want to learn how to read and write. That is not the reason we brought you here. That he had to go and be hiding books in the dead of night when others are asleep. He will go and bring out the book. That was why he taught himself how to read and write. Because they know if he has a right to write education, that will liberate his mind. He will realize that this is not where he ought to be. So that is what I'm saying. I know they taught us how to read and write. He brought literacy. Is that literacy? Is it total? That is what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. So it's really a call for reflection, like you said, because we are the ones now driving the front seat, of this
Hello. Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Sorry. Okay, so I was saying that we are like in the driver's seat. Hello,
Hello, I can hear you.
hello.
Hello. I can hear you.
Yeah, I think we just need to wrap up now because
No
there's been a lot
problem.
of time. So, so we don't make it kind of clumsy. So just your
network
parting
want to
shots as we
network
finish up.
wants to colonize us.
So let's have your parting shots, sir.
So my parting shot will be number one, that it is possible to win the fight. However, it will take a whole lot of reprogramming as individual, as a family, as a sector, then as a society. And well, until we see the battle fought and won in our mind, we may not really achieve much. We look at it with the level of education or civilization or information we have achieved and attained as a nation, I think we should be able to look inward, that which our colonial master takes away, rebrand, and make and return to us in a packaged way, though more expensive. Can't we also see through, appreciate that which we have, our culture, our content, our own, how do I put it now? Our own resources. Let's work with that resources, cherish that resources, improve on those resources, package them, and make them useful to others. And I think it's a product of perception. We need our perception to be delivered from this colonialism we are talking about. We need to look with the eye of something good can come out of our Nazareth. If you do something, somebody they don't like it, but once that thing leaves the shore and wear a new garment and come back, it's the same thing. Oh, then people begin to buy into it. Why would that thing have to first of all go outside the shore, put on a cloth and come back? Why it is here with us? Can't we really appreciate? So I want to say we need our perception to be changed, to work on ourselves, work on our mind, and appreciate that which we have, deploy that same thing to our own best advantage. And I think it's going to also save us a lot of foreign exchange. We're not going to be at the mercy of the foreign countries.
Yeah.
Let's do what we have, work with it, achieve greatness with it. That will be my parting shot. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we have to go right now. Thank you. We hope to come tomorrow, and I'm sure network will be better and we'll have a greater team ahead. So we will say a sign off now. 1, 2, go.
It's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. I think the women decide to run away from network today. No problem. Bye.
Colonized. All right, bye.